Welcome to the FCICA webinar series. Thank you for joining us. This webinar will be recorded. The recorded session will be housed on the FCICA Member Center and this educational portal. Mark your calendars for these upcoming webinars. Thursday, April 22nd, it's Thick Pour Gypsum Underlayment, the what, why, where, and how, and its preparation for finished flooring, an educational webinar presented by Seth Pavarnik, Director of Technical Services, Ardex Americas. And on Thursday, May 13, join us for Milliken's Solutions for the Flooring Industry, presented by Russell Cleveland, North American Quality Director, Floor Covering Division for Milliken & Company. And be sure to register for the May virtual meeting on Tuesday and Wednesday, May 25 and 26, 2 full days of educational and associate presentations. Visit fcica.com to view and register for the event and these future webinars. FCICA has recently updated the safety book, Start with Safety. It is available electronically free to members, and printed versions are available for $185. The safety book is an essential item to have in your office and on every job site. Purchase it on FCICA's website today. Please note, we will address your questions at the end of the presentation, but you are welcome to type them in at any time. If you would like to ask a question, please click on the Q&A tab on the top side of your screen and then select Ask New Question. Thank you for joining us for Protection on a Roll, Crack Isolation and Sound Reduction Membrane. We are pleased to introduce our presenter, Sonya Moste, Product Manager with MAPEI Corporation. As a product manager for MAPEI, Sonya is responsible for the complete product lifecycle of crack isolation, heat and sound control flooring membranes used in construction. Her recent product launches include Mapeheat, a floor heating system of products, and Mapesonic RM, a rubber underlayment designed to mitigate sound between floors and condo towers. Sonya also spent many years working in the plastic industry for Dart Container, launching products related to food service packaging. Welcome, Sonya. We're excited to have you. I'm going to turn the controls over to you.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So yes, I am the product manager for MAPEI, Crack Isolation and Sound Control Membranes. I have one of those unique titles. It's fun when I'm at a party and we're all introducing each other and somebody says, oh, they're an accountant and teacher. And I say, I'm a product manager for crack isolation membranes. They're like, what? What did she say? Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is some of the various membranes that we offer at MAPEI and how you can differentiate and compare and contrast them. We're going to talk about sheet membranes, which are our peel and stick membranes. And the primers and the waterproofing tape that goes with them to provide multiple kinds of uses for these membranes. We're going to talk about an uncoupling membrane, crumb rubber underlayment, and floor heating at the end. There's some membranes, you know, this is not going to be all inclusive of what MAPEI offers in terms of membranes. This is primarily membranes that do crack isolation, sound control, some waterproofing, and some vapor management. Primarily for residential and commercial applications. I'm not going to be talking about primary waterproofing membranes or any exterior waterproofing or drainage systems or anything like that. So this is primarily just going to be talking about residential and commercial type applications. So this is kind of, we're going to start with the sheet membranes, and this is kind of a typical system. What we're showing here is an assembly that has a concrete slab and primer is poured on top, and then the crack isolation membrane. It's a peel and stick. It goes on top of the primer, and then once that crack isolation membrane is down, polymer modified mortar is applied, and then you could tile or grout on top of this. Now, this product is often used in tile installations, but it can also be used in wood flooring installations and LVT, LVP. In those cases, obviously, you would not be pouring putting polymer modified mortar on top, you would be using an adhesive that would be appropriate for that floor covering. So that's what the system kind of looks like. It's very easy. Just did want to show you all how this particular membrane works. And I have a little show and tell here. This is kind of what a square from the membrane looks like. And you can see it's very thin, it's very flexible. It's a fabric on top. And then underneath is what we call bitumen. And this is the release liner, that allows you to work with it until you're ready to peel it back and stick it down to the substrate. But that bitumen layer, and in this diagram, it's the blue, and then the fiberglass mat on top, which is what I'm showing here, is this white fabric. Those two layers work to prevent a crack from moving up from the substrate into the tile. And bitumen's a very interesting product. It isolates the crack up to 3/8 inch. And the way it does that is it's an ideal material for crack isolation because it's viscoelastic. And viscoelasticity is the property of materials that exhibit both viscous and elastic characteristics when undergoing deformation. So viscous materials, and you can think of this as like water, and it flows. And when stress is applied, the material will flow. And that's what bitumen does. When it's under stress, what appears to be a solid turns into almost like a liquid. It flows. And the elastic property is like rubber. It stretches when under stress, and then it returns to its original state when the stress is removed. So viscoelasticity enables the bitumen to maintain the bond to a cracking concrete subfloor without that transfer of stress to the mortar and tile. I thought that's interesting, is that, when bitumen is under stress, it basically flows, and then it'll go back to its original state. So that's how that particular membrane works. Now, MAPEI offers 4 different types of these crack isolation bitumen-based membranes. We have a product called MapaGuard CI, MapaGuard 2, Mapasound 90, and Mapasonic 2. So starting from the left to the right, it's kind of in order of good, better, best, and then super best. So it's also in order of least expensive to most expensive. And you can see here on what kind of properties these various products offer. So for instance, MapaGuard CI will offer crack isolation, waterproof, while the others offer crack isolation, sound reduction, waterproofing, and vapor management. So the other 3 are basically 4-in-1, or you could say all-in-one type membranes. The roll size is 225 square feet per roll for the first 2, 115 square feet per roll for Mapasound 90, and 160 square feet per roll for Mapasonic 2. Mapasound 90, there's an asterisk on that particular product. That is primarily available in Florida only. We could sell it in other areas, but so far the demand has not necessitated it, but we do offer that product in Florida. Like I said, it's arranged. You can see the dollar signals there in row 3. So it's from least expensive MapaGuard CI to the more expensive Mapasonic 2 on the far right. The thickness of the membrane makes a difference and offers different properties. So there's the thinnest one is the 40 mil, which is MapaGuard 2. And they're as thick as the 90 mil, which is Mapasound 90. You can see Mapasonic 2 is 76 mil. The next row shows what kind of floor coverings can be used with each of these products. So with MapaGuard CI, only tile is recommended to be used with that product. But MapaGuard 2 is tile and wood. Mapasound 90 is tile only. And then Mapasonic 2 is tile, wood, and vinyl. And they are rated for industrial. 3 of them are rated for industrial use, while Mapasound 90 is rated for light commercial. All of them contain this split back release liner, which is the liner that is very easy to pull off And once you have a primed substrate, it just rolls right on top of it, and it's sticky, and it sticks to the substrate, to the primed substrate. And they're all bitumen based. They do offer sound control. For instance, here's a chart showing what the IIC and STC numbers are for Mapasonic 2 and compared to MapaGuard 2. IIC, I tend to focus on the IIC numbers the most. That is the sound related to impact sounds. So when you are somebody's walking on a floor, it's the sound of heels or balls bouncing on the floor. It's that impact sound. Whereas STC is more related to ambient air sound, a speaker or TV that's very loud, or people yelling. IIC is the one that it seems architects are most focused on, although they are focused on all these numbers. 50 is generally the minimum building code requirement in most cities. So you want to try to get to a 50, and you can see that with Mapasonic 2, both in tile installations and vinyl installations, it does achieve the 50. And then with MapaGuard 2, it offers some sound control, but not as good as Mapasonic 2. For the IIC, we get what are those, 47 and a 51. That's with a no ceiling assembly. So the first numbers, for instance, Mapasonic 2 with tile, it gets a 70 if there's a ceiling assembly and a 50 with no ceiling. The vinyl gets a 70 with a ceiling, a 50 with no ceiling. MapaGuard 2 gets a 64 with a ceiling, a 47 with no ceiling. So in that particular instance, it doesn't meet the 50 if there's no ceiling in the assembly. Engineered wood, it does pretty good. 71 with a ceiling and a 51 with no ceiling. And then looking at the 8-inch slab, we have sound numbers for Mapasonic 2. And you can see it gets really good numbers with ceiling assemblies of 72, both for tile and vinyl. We didn't test it for wood. And it gets the a 50 IIC with no ceiling with tile, and a 49 IIC with no ceiling with wood. So that's how the sound numbers work with those particular products. We offer 3 different primers. So like I said, it's mandatory that the substrate be primed when using these products. And we have 3 different primers, and they are arranged in order of good, better, best. SM primer fast, and then HM primer, which is a very new primer from MAPEI. We launched that in the fall of last year. And these are for concrete slabs, and depending on the amount of moisture that is in the slab, kind of dictates what kind of primer you'll need to use. So SM primer has a max MVER of 5 pounds per square foot and 80% RH, where SM primer fast has the limit of 8 pounds per square foot MVER and 85% RH. Well, and the last one, the newest one, can be put on slabs with up to 15 pounds of MVER and 95% RH. And it is important to note that these primers do not offer moisture control by themselves. It's their ability to maintain the bond in high moisture environments. So the primers themselves are not moisture control. They allow the membrane to maintain that bond to the substrate in these environments. The HM primer, I'm just going to talk about a little bit because it's a new product from MAPEI. It is a water-based interior-exterior primer for sheet membranes. It's ready to use. No mixing or dilution is required. It can easily roll on with a roller or a brush. It dries very fast, and it allows the sheet membrane to be installed after about 20 minutes when the product gets tacky. It bonds to a wide variety of substrates, including non-porous concrete and metal. So this could go down onto, for instance, if you're doing an elevator, this could bond to the bottom of an elevator floor, and then you could put these membranes on top of that. It's low in odor, and it has a very aggressive tack. Of the 3 primers that I had mentioned, this is the most tacky primer that we offer, and it improves the adhesion of peel and stick membranes to many of these substrates. This is a primer reference chart. It's on the technical data sheets as well as the packaging, but you know, what kind of primer might you need to use? For instance, interior applications, when you're talking below grade, on grade, or above grade, you can see that MAPEI's HM primer, which is the one I was just talking about, the new one, it can go in below grade, on grade, above grade, whether it's inside or exterior. So that is the most versatile primer that we offer in this suite of primers. The next one is MAPEI SM primer. So it can be used interior, on grade, and above grade, and exterior, above grade only. And then MAPEI SM primer fast, same as the SM primer. It can be used interior, on grade, and above grade, and in exterior applications, above grade only. So these membranes have recently been approved for waterproofing. We've done some testing over the past 12 months or so, and they have passed A118.10 for waterproofing when they are used with a butyl tape, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And they are approved in select environmental exposure classes, specifically Res 1, Res 2, Res 6, COM 1, COM 2, or COM 6. We do not recommend that they be used in shower floors or submerged applications or floors subject to standing water. They could be used in exterior applications, but it must be an appropriately sloped environment to prevent standing water. And the membrane itself is waterproof. It will not penetrate this bitumen layer. However, you have to account for the seams. So if you have 2 pieces of fabric next to each other, the seam needs to be waterproofed. And with that, we are recommending Mapatape BB, which is a new butyl-based sealing tape, which goes under the membrane and it bonds to the prime substrate. And when this is put on top of it, over the seam goes on top of the butyl tape, it is a waterproof seam, and these membranes can be used in environments like I said, those environmental exposure classes. They'd be great for like a laundry room or the bathroom, except in the shower, places like that. This is an image of how the Mapatape BB sealing tape would be used. So in this image, starting from the right to the left, you see a substrate, and then primer applied to the substrate. You'll see this black strip of Mapatape BB, and so you would put that down where the seams would be, and it's 6 inches wide. So you want the seam to be in the middle so that the tape has 3 inches on each side. And then you put down your crack isolation membrane, and then after that you can mortar on top of that and apply tile. Or if you are not doing a tile installation, I know most of you are floor covering installers, you could do an adhesive, and you could do engineered wood or an LVT, LVP installation. It does offer vapor management, and it did pass ASTM E96. And so it is a vapor impermeable membrane. The challenges, again, are the seams and the integrity of the primer's bond in high moisture environments, and the vapor pressure that would build up. So for this reason, the only primer that would be approved if you need vapor management is MAPEI's HM primer. You should not use SM primer or SM primer fast if you are using these membranes for vapor management. And a wide variety of substrates are approved, fully cured concrete, cement mortar beds, cement backer units, properly prepared cement and epoxo terrazzo floors, well-bonded vinyl, BCT, gypsum-based subfloors, APA Group 1 and CanPly 0121 exterior grade plywood, OSB, like I had mentioned, steel subfloors if they're primed with HM primer. And then also MAPEI's Planasil PMB and a couple of our other waterproofing roll-on products are approved substrates, such as our Mapelastic Aqua Defense or Mapelastic Turbo. So if you didn't want to seal your membrane using the butyl tape, you could apply liquid applied waterproofing to the substrate and then apply this on top of that. So that is an option as well for waterproofing. So now we're going to jump to another product, and it's an uncoupling membrane, which we call MapaGuard And this is pictured an installation. And in this case, we got a plywood substrate with some polymer modified mortar that goes down first, and then you roll the MapaGuard on top of that, and then you apply polymer modified mortar on top of that, and then you can tile and grout. Now in this instance, what we're showing here is a tile installation. This is, you could do something with engineered wood or LVT, LVP. However, you would have to use a self-leveler over top the system before you would apply the adhesive. So MapaGuard it provides waterproofing, vapor management, and crack suppression. It is designed to perform over challenging substrates such as young concrete and single layer 3/4 inch plywood subfloors with joint spacings up to 19.2 inches on center. The unique engineered tri-layer design of MapaGuard absorbs lateral stress from the substrate without transferring this force to the tile or stone. So unlike the bitumen-based peel and stick membranes I had talked about, where the bitumen, it flows, in this case, the design of the way it's designed, it absorbs the lateral stress from the substrate. It does accept self-leveler, and you would want to self-level over top this membrane to get a perfectly flat floor before you did any LVT, LVP, or engineered wood installations. It is ASTM C627 rated extra heavy. This is a great product. We sell a very good amount of this product. It's lightweight. It's easy to use. You can cut it with a box cutter. Dry fit your squares or rectangles. And then once you're ready to go, you just apply some thin set, and this rolls right on top of the thin set. Very easy to work with. We also offer sound reduction membranes. Now, some of the peel and stick membranes offer sound reduction, but when it comes to if sound reduction is their #1 concern, more often than not, they'll want to go with a rubber underlayment. So we offer Mapasonic RM. And in this particular assembly, what we're showing is a concrete subfloor with Ultrabond Eco 420 applied to the subfloor, and then Mapasonic RM5, which is the 5mm membrane rolled on top of that. And then on top of the rubber underlayment is a mortar, in this case Ultraflex LFT Rapid. The mortar goes on top, and then you can tile on top of that, or if you're doing LVT, LVP, or wood, you would use an adhesive instead of a polymer modified mortar. So Mapasonic RM provides excellent ambient and impact sound reduction. It's available, we offer it in 3 different thicknesses, a 2mm, a 5mm, and a 10mm thickness. The 2 millimeter is the one that is approved for LVT, LVP. That is the only thickness for LVT, LVP. The 5 millimeter is more popular for tile, and the 10 millimeter is more popular for wood installations. They are Green Circle certified for 83% post-consumer recycled content. So these are basically recycled tires, which is awesome. And so this is a very green, sustainable product. It's ASTM C627 rated residential. And I would also say it's rated commercial. Multifamily is commercial, so it would be rated for multifamily commercial as well. It bonds to the substrate with Mapei's Ultra Bond Eco 420 or any urethane adhesive or any A118.15 mortar, such as our like LFT, Caraflex Super, products like that. And it is approved under radiant floor heating. So you could use this, I'm going to talk about floor heating in a second. You could layer the two systems together. So sometimes you want sound reduction with floor heating, and this product would go down first, and then you could put radiant floor heating on top of it. This chart is kind of hard to see, but you can see some of the ratings. You can see in the third column is the membrane thicknesses. You know, there's the 5 millimeter products, the 10 millimeter products. Under ceramic tile and stone with a ceiling, it's getting a 63 or a 64 IIC. So really good numbers. For engineered wood, you're getting a 63, 66 IIC. 65 IIC for the 10 millimeter, so really good numbers. And then for solid wood with the 5 millimeter, an IIC of 67. So you can see why Mapasonic RM and rubber underlayments in general are very popular for sound control in multifamily high-rise buildings. So Mapei did launch floor heating about a year ago. This is going really well, super product for us. We partnered with a company called Invent New Heat. And this particular product that I'm showing here is what we call Mapeheat Matte. This is a very thin fabric with the floor heated wires already pre-embedded in it. And in this installation, the way it's showing is a concrete slab. You put down some polymer modified mortar and you roll the floor heating mat right into the wet mortar, and then you polymer modified mortar on top of that, and then tile and then add your tile, stone, caulk, and you're ready to go. Obviously you'd have to hook up a thermostat, and that's a whole separate installation instructions. But this particular product is great. It comes, Mapei offers it in 70 sizes, 70 squares and rectangles that can fit most spaces. These are very popular in kitchens, mudrooms, bathrooms. We're starting to see them. One great place to put them is in nursing homes and places where people typically might have a rug. Maybe an elderly person likes to have warmth under when they get out of bed or in their bathroom, but those could be a trip hazard. So it's a way to eliminate those kinds of trip hazards by doing heated floors. You can also do heated shower floors, heated bath seats, things like that. And one great thing about this particular product is we also offer it in custom sizing. So should you have a bathroom that has some weird squares and angles where a regular standard square or rectangle would not work, we're able to offer custom sizing. And we are, you or your distributor would send us a quote request to mapaheatusa@mapei.com. The drawing of the room could be on a napkin, a piece of paper, or it could be a CAD drawing. We then take that drawing, turn it into a CAD drawing that our system would use, turn it back around for approval, send you the quote, and once you approve the CAD drawing and a quote, the product is produced in California, and we turn it around in 3 to 5 days and ship it out to you. So this is a great product if you want to get into floor heating. And like I mentioned, this product is compatible with that rubber underlayment, and it also is compatible with the MapaGuard UM. And with that, that covers the overall category of crack isolation, sound control membranes. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Sonya. If the audience has any questions or comments, please submit them in the question box on the left side of your screen. We'll wait a moment for people to enter in their questions.
Okay.
Actually, Sonya, we have a few already, so I'm going to read those out to you. How is the use rating determined?
The use rating, I'm assuming you mean the C627 rating?
And he adds the question, the gentleman who posed the question adds, I mean industrial, commercial, light commercial.
Yeah, those are Robinson tests that we run on these products. So we'll run a Robinson test on everything we produce. We assemble a system in our lab in Deerfield Beach, Florida. And I don't know if you know what a Robinson machine does, but it has like 4 casters, and it rolls around on top of a tiled system, and it gets harder and harder, and depending on the number of rotations that the assembly can handle before cracking determines its rating.
Okay. The next question is regarding the bitumen layer and the membrane's use under LVT. Does the membrane prevent any hydrocarbon migration that can be discolor vinyl-based flooring?
Does the bitumen prevent hydrocarbons?
Do you want me to read it again?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Regarding the bitumen layer and the membrane's use under LVT, does the membrane prevent any hydrocarbon migration that can discolor vinyl-based flooring?
I've never gotten that question before. I would say that because on top of the membrane an adhesive would be used, an adhesive that would be appropriate for the particular type of LVT or LVP going on top of this. That adhesive would certainly prevent anything from coming up, but I don't think there are any VOCs coming up from this membrane itself. If you mean if there's VOCs in the substrate below it?
If the gentleman who asked the questions wants to expand on that question, please enter it in the Q&A. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
What's the more accurate primer for an exterior membrane application such as MapeGuard 2?
MapaGuard 2 for an exterior application, I would use the MAPEI HM primer.
Okay, thank you. Sonya, the gentleman who asked the question, he further elaborated, and he said the bitumen is asphalt based and can emit hydrocarbons.
Let me take a look at something real quick. We say that there is no odor, so we market that there is no odor, and it's great for confined space. Let me look at the VOC numbers. We've also had our product recently tested, and it is certified by, it's SCS Global Services. It's certified for indoor air quality, and it receives an Indoor Advantage Gold building materials certificate. So we use these products in indoor spaces all the time. There is no odor associated with it, and it does receive that green certification. So I don't think VOCs are an issue.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on to the next question.
Okay.
You approve Mapesonic RM for use with LVT. I've heard that crumb rubber is made with SBR, and SBR is not compatible with vinyl. How does MAPEI approve this system?
Yeah, that is true. There are some SBR is not compatible with vinyl, and crumb rubber is SBR. We do approve the 2mm Mapasonic RM for use with vinyl. And the way that we're able to approve this use is because we understand and we know the quality of the adhesive that is used, that will be used on top of Mapasonic RM, that is going to be the layer between the vinyl and the SBR rubber. So we make quality adhesives. We know what kind of adhesive is going to be used in that system. So it's because of our adhesives that we are comfortable approving Mapasonic RM 2mm to be used with vinyl.
Okay. Next question: Would the fabric prevent stain migration of the bitumen?
I would say yes. I mean, I'm looking at a sample right here. The bitumen does not flow up into the fabric, so it is two separate layers. Yeah, the fabric would prevent any staining from the bitumen.
I think you may have answered this one, but can the floor heating mat be used on shower floors?
Yes, so our floor heating products are UL certified, and they are certified in wet environments. Yep, so you can put one of these floor heating mats into a shower. And if they're custom made, you can even have a hole drilled in it for your drain.
Okay. I'm just reviewing the Q&As here. I don't think that there's any more additional questions, but we'll wait just a moment lest anybody has any additional questions. Please put those in the Q&A box. Oh, I don't know if this one was answered yet. Could I install wood flooring over MapeGuard without having to use an SLU first?
MapaGuard without an SLU. So MapaGuard is a product that has some grooves in it. If certainly a urethane adhesive could fill those grooves, and you could put wood over top MapaGuard but I don't think you'd want to do that because urethane adhesives are very expensive, and you would be using way too much urethane adhesive. I think it'd be more cost effective to do an SLU, fill the grooves with the SLU, and then apply the urethane adhesive on top of that.
Okay. Sonia, I think that's it. I think that's all the questions that we've gotten in the question Q&A box.
Well, great.
If you had any final sort of comments at the end, Sonia, if you want to share with the audience.
No, it was great spending the afternoon with you. You can see my email address and phone number, and feel free, if you have a question that comes up, you can email me directly. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Oops, real quick, we had one more coming in. So we'll go back here. Is a primer required over I keep saying it incorrectly, is a primer required over the MapeGuard when self-leveling, he adds.
Oh, that's okay. No, a primer would not be necessary over MapaGuard when self-leveling, because the primer will go, the self SLU will fill the grooves and you'll have a mechanical bond. So a primer is not necessary with MapaGuard
Okay. Okay, Sonia, I think that's it. That's all we've gotten thus far.
Great.
So again, if there isn't any more questions, then on behalf of FCICA, thank you so much, Sonia, for presenting today's webinar. Sims, you may now navigate to the Submit Credit tab to receive credit. Please note that you must be signed into the educational platform for this feature to work. If you have any issues, please let us know. So this is the conclusion of today's webinar. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.